Hello and welcome to another video tutorial on how to use C++. Today I'm going to talk about in and out streams in C++. Therefore I opened my browser and typed in the URL cpp.sh. This is an online C++ compiler, and with this example program I'm going to show you what we already used with in and out streams of our normal Visual Studio. So right here we standard have our include section, so in and out stream and string. Then here's the main function. We didn't use using namespace std, therefore we included this one in every line in front of the command. We could also delete it and type in using namespace, but we don't want to do that right now. So that's what we have here. In the first line we define a string variable named name. Then we have an output that says what is your name. Next we have the getLine function, and cin is the input via keyboard, so if you type it in then it's going to be saved as name. And lastly we have the output again. So if we run this, it says what is your name. Then I can type in Peter, and the next output is hello Peter. So the first one is our standard outstream cout what is your name. Then I typed in Peter, which is the cin, so the standard in stream, which is then saved as name. And lastly we have the standard outstream cout hello Peter. The standard in and out stream is part of the C++ in and out stream library. And this library consists of multiple headers that make input and output possible from different sources and to different targets. So for example, the IO stream is used to show something in the console or to type something in via keyboard. Then there's also include fstream, and this is useful to edit files on our hard drive. That means we can read from files and we can write data into files. And if I say write data into files, I mean usually text files. So imagine we have some measuring results we want to write into files. That will be text files. Alright, let's close the browser for now and go back to our normal Visual Studio. Start a new project. Let's name it number 6 stream. Okay, then we click next, empty project as usual. Go to source data and add a new element, a C++ file named main. And then as usual we have to include our in and out stream. So this is the standard stream. Then we include our F stream right here. This is the file stream, as I said, to read and write into files from our drive. This means we have a read and write access. So let's comment this here too. Read and write access. Next is our using namespace std, so standard. Then our main in brackets, then the return value. Then save. And now we want to start to write something into a file. So let's comment this here. So our goal is in this tutorial to write into file. Okay, so we do this by creating a file output stream, and this is by using the keyword offstream. so to say, now it's our data type, so we have to also set a file name. So this file name right here is output file, and also we have to comment this here to get it more structured, creating a known file output stream. So now after creating and naming the output stream, we can use the point operator again to work with the functions. So the first function we are going to use is the open function. This is needed to open for the output stream, so to open a file. And to do that, we have to type in the name of the file into these round brackets. So the name of the file should be output.txt. Keep in mind that everything that's opened has to be closed again, so we use the function close to do that. Okay, so let's run this, and you see nothing happens, but a file is opened and closed. And if you ask where, you have to look into your documents, to Visual Studio, then projects, and our project here is streams. Then in the stream folder there is a txt file, and this is the one that has been opened and closed. If I delete it and rerun our short program, then you can see that it is created again. So now we want to write something into this file. But before we do that, we have to check if the file has been opened. And we do that with an if expression. So we write if, and then put the name of the file into the brackets, output file, point operator good. So this is the good function. You can remember by saying if everything is good, then do what is written here. But I'm gonna negate this expression, and so the condition now is if nothing is good, then I want to have this output: cout the file could not be opened. Next we handle the case if the file could be opened, so else, and then let's comment this first, file could be opened. Then we want to write something into the file. So we have to lead the output stream into the file that we just created, that we opened. So output file, like in cout, we just type in the angle brackets and then just write a text first line, and then end line, and don't forget the semicolon at the end. And we can run this, but this still has an error because here is a semicolon missing. So add this end line there. Okay, run. Then you see the program has been executed. And if you want to look into the file, you have to open the output.txt file, for example with Notepad, and then you can see it says first line, the text that we just assigned earlier. Now we can write as much as we like into this file. So for example, we just take here a second line and execute this. So again, the program has been executed, and if you go back to the editor, then it asks you if you want to reload it because the file has been modified. So I click yes, and then you can see that a second line has been added to the first line. Here we only wrote characters into our file, but we can of course also write variables into it. But before, I just noticed that this close function has to be inside the open case, because if it hasn't been opened, then we don't need to close it. Now for the variables, we just define one, say double d1 with a value of 3.1415, and if we want to write that into our file, we just have to pass the variable into the output stream. So output file d1 run successful reload our file, and then you can see the number has been added. Okay, that's it on how to write into a file. Next, I want to show you how to read data from a file. So we can comment this section out and write a new section. Before we used an auth stream for an output file stream, and this time we have to use something similar. So in this case, for the input, it is the if stream. So we type in if stream, and then we again have to use an input file. So we just name it input file, and then we can use this again to open it. And what file we are going to open is input.txt. Just like the output text file, we're just going to name it input.txt. But of course, this one hasn't been created yet, so we have to first do that. So new text document named input.txt. So, and then we can use this exact name to read data from it. We could also use file directories here, but it's not necessary because we are in the exact same folder, so it's enough to just type in the name of the file. Okay, now if we open this and then just type in some random values like 100, 101 and so on, save, then we can read them in our program. To do that, we first have to define some variables. In this case, integers are sufficient. So we define just I1, I2, I3. And then again, we first have to check if the file could be opened. And this command is also possible with isOpen. And again, we negate this condition. So exclamation mark here, and then we again have the output file could not be opened, just like before. And then the other case is if the file could be opened, then we take in the input stream, input file, and then because we have an input stream, we don't use the less than symbol but the greater than symbol, because the stream is in the opposite direction. And then we just type in the name of the variables that we want to read, I1, I2, I3, and that's it. Now with this command we can read the values in this file, and we can also just output this right after that. So cout I1, I2, I3, and again remember that everything that has been opened has to be closed, so we have to close the input file. Then we can see what happens. Maybe we can add an end line here and run, but there seems to be a semicolon missing again. So put this here with an end line. So now it works, and you can see the values we've just read from the file. Let's add a space in between the values in the output to distinguish them better. Yeah, just like this. Run again. And now you can see exactly this is the same as we have in the file. So the values have been assigned to the variables. And in the file, it doesn't matter if we have a space for a separation or let's say a tab. So this is a tab I put in here. To see it better, I can make the tab visible. So right here you see the symbol for tab. This is a space and this is a tab. So if we run this again, you see it still works with tabs. We can also have returns, so a new line. This is the symbol for a new line. Maybe it's better if I put it away. So save and then run again. And you can still see the output is the same, it still works. But what happens if we have, instead of values, a string in the first line? To test that, I'm just gonna type in a string. So this is the first line. This is what is in here. And if we try to run this, oh wait, first we have to save the file, then run again. And you can see that it tries to read some very cryptic values in here. So this means it is very important to make sure what the file actually looks like. So, and we have a string here in the first line and the values start in a second. So we have to deal differently with the first line. And how to do that? Well, first we include our string library. So include string. And then we have the possibility to read the first line with the getLine function. So we type in getLine, then the name, input file, and then we have to say where to save this. And I'm just gonna save this into a variable named line. So this right here, but first we have to define this variable, this string. So string line right here. And to see that it works, we can set an output here again with the string that we just read. So cout and then line, end of line. And if we run this, we can see that the first line is read as a string and output as a string. And then the second line with the values from our file is still read and put out. And just to complete this whole file, just a few comments here. So this one, getLine, reads a complete line. Then this one here reads 3 consecutive lines, not lines, integers, just as we put it in. Then up here, the file is opened. So open file, and then right here we create our file input stream. If we look back at our first part where we saw how to write into a file, an alternative version of this one is to combine these two lines of creating the file output stream and defining a name. So if we want to do this in just one step, we can use the name and put it into the first line and comment the second line out, just like this. If we run this, then we can still see that our output.txt has been created, so we can reload this one and the output is still the same. So this is just an alternative to how to open this one. I'm gonna take this back to how it was. But there are different options on how to open a file. So here we do it like this every time we create a new output.txt and write our values into this file. But there's also the possibility to open the file without creating it again and again, and to add something at the end of it. So now the file is like this, but if we open it in a different mode, so we have to add the parameter iOS, then double colon, and then app. It means that the file is not created again, but opened, and the data is written at the end of the file. This mode can be useful, for example, for writing measuring results always at the end of the file. So, and to see how it looks like, I'm just going to run this again and check the file. So go here, reload, and then you can see the same stuff has been added once again to this. Maybe we should add a new line to the last value for D1. Check again how it looks like. You can see it has been added again, but maybe we should change the backslash n to an end line. Okay, let's check this again. Hit yes for reload. Yeah, like this. So in this video we've learned how to open files to write something into them, and also we've learned how to open files to read from them. So that's what I wanted to show you in this videos, and thanks for your attention.